News at 10.
Cases like the Bristol heart surgery scandal and the subsequent striking off of 2 surgeons will now mean new checks on all doctors and surgeons in the future. The General Medical Council voted overwhelmingly today for tests about every 5 years to make sure their skills and knowledge are up to date. Andrea Catherwood reports.
3 years ago, Aisha Pearson's big brother Mark had a routine hernia operation. At home the next day, his mother called her GP when Mark became violently ill. The doctor failed to spot Mark was suffering from a ruptured intestine or peritonitis.
About 11 o'clock we called Luke him out, told him Mark was being very, very sick. He left a prescription, told me Mark had gastric flu, and he left. And 4 hours later my wee boy died with peritonitis.
An inquiry concluded the correct diagnosis could have saved Mark. The doctor was sent for retraining. Until today, once doctors were registered, they didn't have to prove their competence again. But now the General Medical Council, the body that oversees the profession, has decided to check all doctors regularly to ensure they're fit to practice. Those who fail and don't come up to scratch after retraining could be struck off.
These procedures are to help good doctors, show that they're good doctors and celebrate that, but they're also about making sure that there are no corners, as far as we possibly can, where dangerous or poor practice may be lurking.
Today's decision means the biggest change in the regulation of doctors in over 100 years. Most of the medical profession agree with the concept of compulsory assessment, particularly if it helps to regain public trust shaken by recent scandals. The big question is, how will the assessments be made? The GMC still isn't sure. Checks will probably be done every 5 years. Patients' views may be taken into account, but the bulk of the assessment will be done by fellow doctors. But busy family GPs say right now they just haven't got the time.
If you've got doctors policing doctors and doctors going off to courses, you've got to find a way of filling the gaps. You've got to put people in to make sure patients don't suffer.
Some doctors currently volunteer for training courses, like this one in Whittington Hospital, North London, to update their skills. In future, these may be compulsory throughout the country to try and ensure every doctor is fit to practice. Andrea Catherwood, News at 10, North London.
Just why the Bank of England cut interest rates so vigorously last week became clear today in its quarterly inflation report. It says it now expects economic growth in the first 6 months of this year to be close to zero. Here's Ross Childs.
In its report today, the Bank of England says Britain is on the brink of recession in the first half of this year, although it does expect growth to pick up later. This is an even more gloomy assessment of the economy than it gave just 3 months ago. What's hampering economic growth is the fact that manufacturing production is still too low. One major international investor in Britain is the American company Pfizer, perhaps best known for Viagra. It welcomes the interest rate cuts of 2% since October, but said tonight that if its British division is to keep up, rates must come down still further.
On this site we've got £250 million worth of investment going on at the moment. We have to compete for funds against other Pfizer companies in other countries, and in order to win those funds it's critical that the UK remains competitive.
Some though think the bank is too downbeat in its forecast and warn against more falls.
The weakness currently doesn't reflect where interest rates are now, it reflects where they were some months ago, and of course we've already seen quite sharp cuts. I think it is a danger that we see more cuts and they prove to be inflationary.
The Treasury also sees the economy in a brighter light. It forecasts growth of 1 to 1.5% by the end of the year, 0.5% more than the bank's forecast. The Bank of England's gloomy economic outlook increases the chances of another rate cut soon. Inflationary pressures, the bank's primary concern, seem to be weak, which means that rates could be cut with confidence as early as next month. Ross Childs, News at 10, the Bank of England.
Still to come on News at 10, today's other main news and sport. First, how a routine delivery flight turned to tragedy. What caused this appalling crash? Then, victory for the pensioners in their battle for the millions they claim were plundered from their accounts. The terrifying threat posed by avalanches, how they start, and what can be done to safeguard against them. And why Britain's become the smelliest nation in Europe.